All right, everybody. How's it going? Happy Wednesday. It's Coach Edwards here. Happy Lacrosse Goalie Wednesday. Good to see you guys. This is awesome. As usual, I've been working all day for you guys. Oh man, so we've had a busy day in our group today at our Facebook group at Creating Lacrosse Goalie Future. So if you're not a member of the Creating Lacrosse Goalie Future, and you're hearing this, come join Creating Lacrosse Goalie Future on Facebook. And be sure to answer 3 questions. If you don't answer 3 questions, you don't get in. But just did some goalie audits today. Was on the phone with a couple of our goalies and some parents, doing some breakthrough calls. Like just a good day. So wherever you are in the world, I hope you are safe and happy and wearing a mask and vaccinated. Oh, no, I'm just kidding. Just I hope you're dairy free. No, wait. I hope you're no, I can't say anything. Anyway, I hope you're doing well wherever you are. So we got a lot of good stuff to talk about today. And if you're wherever you are watching me, if you do me a huge favor right now, just hit the like button and drop a comment would be great. We got a lot of lurkers that come on these, watch me live and never leave a comment or just lurk. So I appreciate if you wouldn't mind doing that. It really kind of helps the energy of the program. And yeah, so we got a lot of fun stuff to talk about. People probably thought I was off my rocker when I said we're going to talk about why we should eliminate passing drills from practice, but we're going to cover a lot of really good stuff today. So, wherever you are in the world, I hope that your goalie's having a good time and getting some good lacrosse. And so, a couple things. Hey there, TJ Emerson. Good to see you. Chris Kunkel's in. Walter Allison is in. Love that. Good to see you guys. Excellent. So let's just get right to it, shall we? First topic, okay, is why coaches should eliminate passing drills from practice. So you guys are all here for lacrosse goalie, stuff, and this is actually very lacrosse goalie specific. What I'm about to share with you right now. So there's probably a lot of people going like, "Well, we'll check in a little later. Coach isn't going to cover the goalie stuff until he's." They're missing out right now because we're going to talk about some serious goalie stuff here. So, Houston-ish, Texas. I love that. That's a great. Adam Heller's in. Andy Wallagowski, buddy. See you, buddy. It's been so long, Andy. And Tracy Taylor from Houston-ish. That's right. Excellent. All right. Good to see you guys. So first topic tonight is why coaches should eliminate passing drills. So I get a question a lot where I just got a message. So hopefully you guys are hearing me. We're having trouble streaming to Facebook. Facebook currently has a bug that can cause this issue for some users. Facebook is working to fix it. So unfortunately, if I lose you guys, you can check me on my page. You can also check me on my personal profile if you know where that is, and also in the group. So just a heads up. And also on YouTube. So I'm not on Instagram today. So for some reason, if you get cut off on Facebook, you can find me there tonight. Okay. So apologize for that. Just got a message here. So anyway, enough for the Greg Lapham's on Facebook. Good stuff. Thank you, sir. All right. So goalies, one of the problems that goalies have a lot is they feel left alone, right? Coach is off doing something with the team, especially if a team is short-staffed. But one of the things that also happens with even well-staffed teams is that there's this idea that, okay, the goalies are going to go do their thing and the rest of the team is going to do their thing. Sometimes it turns into like, okay, the face-off guys will do the face-off girls will do their thing, and then the middies will do their stuff and the defense. But a lot of times it's just like goalies over there, and then you guys keep yourself busy, and we're going to go do stuff over here. So a lot of times what those things are, depending on how your practice is organized, is the team will go off and do line drills, which are hard, or they'll do some sort of passing drill, or they'll do stick work, right? Or they'll do ground ball work sometimes. Although a lot of coaches say that till the end of practice, sometimes ground ball work. And we will, but there's just this like racism amongst lacrosse. That's probably not the right word to use in this context, but like it's like, okay, goalies, you do your own thing, and then we're gonna do the stuff for it. That's a massive missed opportunity. All right. So for those of you that are coaches, you're going to really like what I have to say today. For those of you guys that are parents of goalies, you're really going to like what I have to say today. And for the goalies, listen to me. I want you to understand that you if you have a relationship with your coach, if you're a goalie, if you have a relationship with your coach, what I'm going to share with you today, you can maybe just bring this up with your coach gently. Parents, you too. Okay. So one of the things that I believe, so I came up with this concept a number of years ago when I moved to Canada, and I was the only coach. I was very short staffed, and there was the first program I was involved with up here. I coached 4 separate age groups in the same, like every evening, like 3 times a week, and it was just me. And and also, like, I threw that on myself, but the idea here is that I wanted to have a really good practice that was always busy and everybody's working all the time. I can't stand in any sport when you see like a line of like 10 kids and 1 kid or 2 kids doing the drill. And then there's 10 kids like wondering what the hell. What we have to maximize as coaches, and for you as parents, as consumers of this sport, you have to understand it's all about touches. It's all about it's all about quality time with the ball, right? And that is something that you should always be looking at. So coaches, sometimes a lot of coaches are volunteers and they don't have a lot of time to spend figuring all this stuff out. I get it. I totally get it. But even at the college ranks, I see this, right? I get, just a week ago, one of my college goalies was like, there's like 4 goalies on this team, and they're just like doing long passing or whatever. And it's a really a bad deal. Benjamin Emerson, that's the best word I've ever. Positionism, not racism. Positionism. I love that. Joel Rose, good to see you. Walter Allison, thank you, sir. And I hate lines. So yeah, so line drills have kind of gone the way, like 20 years ago, they should have gone away. So if you're doing them, your coach is sticking with it. But the what I realized years ago is that what is a pass but a catchable shot? A shot, however, is not just a good pass, right? Like any goalie will tell you that when you're getting shot on, that doesn't feel like a pass, right? It's just whipped at you. There's a lot going on. The velocity is high. But when it comes to taking that idea and equating it to your entire team, taking my team over here, boys or girls, and having them do passing to one another, the idea is that you're trying to create a catchable pass, right? So like if I'm playing with Jenny and Jenny's not really good at catching, well, I can whip a pass at Jenny and she can't catch it. But if I can toss a pass to Jenny, well, then she can catch it. But Jenny and I both need to learn how to score. But so when I think about it like that, I realize that Jenny and I can learn about passing by just becoming more accurate. Now, Jenny may not be able to shoot as hard as I can, but I can still put Jenny in a place. And every goalie will realize this. Like, you can put a goal, like any player, and shoot from close enough on a goalie, and it will be a challenge to that goalie. Okay, you could take a junior high school kid who's not a very good shot, put him right off the crease on a PLL goalie, and that PLL goalie will probably have a problem. One, they'll probably worry about getting hit with the ball, but they'll have trouble reading the stick and things like that. But the point is this: is that we're missing a massive opportunity to, one, work our entire team, two, to also challenge our players to have more accurate passes. Because what I see a lot of times is you'll see a team doing line drills, and you see the same kid airmail it over like some kid's head, and then because coach is too cheap with balls, there's like 2 balls in the drill, and now somebody's running to chase a ball that's 30 yards away, and everybody's standing around. It makes no sense to me. Okay. I'm very critical of programs that can't think that far ahead and just go like, all right, guys, let's spend money on balls. Let's have things here. But when I was running those teams, I realized, like, you know what? Kids don't like line drills either. But I can get the same work a lot of times done in a shooting drill than I can ever get done in a passing drill. And I can up one of the most critical pieces of athlete development, which is basically specificity and situational lacrosse, right? Like when a lot of times you do a line drill, where do you do them? You do them in like the middle of the field going across the field. How often does that pass ever happen in a game? Like never. And it probably shouldn't. It's usually happening when people are going to substitute out of the game. The point is this: you can take your entire team and run them through situations where they do a dodge in a more appropriate part of the field where they might actually do it in a game, and then end up coming in on their goalie. And now I'm going to get to this in a second, like how you actually modify the shooting and things like that. But the idea is like everybody on my team needs to know how to face dodge. Everybody on my team needs to know how to roll dodge. Even a long pole, a defender can like work a question mark dodge to get out of traffic and make a solid pass, right? And what is that pass? But really just a shot, maybe over a longer distance, or a shot with a little mustard off it so that it's a catchable pass to their teammate. So I want to make everybody better. I want my goalies to get better. I want my shooters to get better. So for people who think that I was being like, that this comment was kind of silly, I hope you guys understand that there's just like a ridiculous amount of benefits here that can help the entire team. So what do I do with this? I believe that shooting is primary, passing is secondary. Because you can have a team that's good passers, but they're not necessarily good shooters. But you can have people who are good shooters and accurate shooters, and they're going to be good passers, right? So let's work on one thing that trickles down to everything else, as opposed to trying to build from the ground up to where we never get there. Now, your team, you may think like, oh, my team is small and they're undersized and we never get shots off anyway. Well, that's okay. But the point is, like, you're probably an athlete who can, make a roll dodge and turn and shoot in the goalie. Like, they're going to be able to get out of trouble in the middle of the field and make a pass. I think everybody agrees with me on that. And so this is really, really important. So here's what you do. Okay. First thing I will tell everybody is have enough damn balls at practice. Okay. It drives me nuts when teams will do cash calls for jerseys and new helmets and bags. And then coach rolls up with a Home Depot bucket that's got like 2 layers of balls at the bottom that equates to about 12 balls. And they'll go run an offensive drill and they'll take the goalies out of it and they'll say, here, goalie gets 2 balls and then everybody else gets the other 10. Take a cash call and buy a case of balls, 144 balls, and start your season with that. And oh my God, if you throw too many in the woods, go buy another case, right? Balls should be like problems. There should be so many balls on your practice field that people are worried about rolling an ankle. Like that's my benchmark for there's enough balls to practice. When we're worried about somebody stepping on a ball and rolling an ankle, that's when I know we have enough. Okay. And so there's gotta be enough balls. The other things, and they're all greasers. Yeah. The other thing is that you don't have to have your cage in the crease. Okay. So what I implore all of my coaches to do is to have a you can go to Home Depot, you can go to your local landscape supply place, wherever, but you can get field marking paint, and you can then get like a big one of those massive stakes. You can also get these at Home Depot. They're like 12-inch spikes. You can get a string, mark it out to 9 feet, and put a little loop in the end. Stick your finger in, take the thing, do a crease. Do as many creases as you want, or do as many creases as the field maintenance guys will let you do. But the point is that your crease does not have to be the same that same crease day in and day out, month in and month out. Let the grass heal, get your goalie away. But you can also put a crease in front of, like, maybe there's a baseball backstop near your, just off your field, or maybe there's the side of the gym, whatever. I don't want to see every ball that goes wide end up with like one kid spending, 2 minutes out of the drill chasing down a ball. You got to have some sort of backup. The other thing that I recommend is that every field, and I know this is a big ask, but every field should have not just 2 fields, or 2 nets, but I really like to see a field that has 4 nets. And the reason being is that one of the things that I recommend when you do shooting drills is you take 2 nets and you put one just behind either pipe. And so basically you just kind of overlap the edges. That way your kids, with the exceptions of the ones that go high, if they go slightly wide, they're not penalized and they're not worried about taking that risk. We want kids to be able to shoot and take that risk and realize that they're not going to have to walk a mile, right? The goalie I was on the phone with today doing a coaching call with, they're basically practicing in the middle of this massive expanse of grass. And there's a baseball backstop over there. I'm like, take the net, get it over there, have coach rip on you so that nobody's chasing balls for too long. Okay. And so then what do you do? So you get the team over, right? And you get the team over and you say, laxsteels.com of the day, Bob McGee, great post. Laxsteels.com, deal of the day, 24 balls for $24. Awesome. I love it. Take the money from, one kid's helmet purchase and put it towards that, and you got balls for days. Bob McGee, great post. Thank you. And Liz Mary on YouTube. Thank you, sir. Thank you, miss. Hello. I hope you're having a great day. Having a great day, Liz. Thank you. Really appreciate that. All right. So now what do you do? So you're going to bypass doing line drills. So who doesn't do line drills? Do your long poles do, long passing while now your middies and your attack are shooting? No, everybody shoots. Everybody shoots. Your long poles shoot, your attack shoot, your middies shoot, right? Everybody shoots. So your goalies shoot. Like you put one goalie in the cage and your other goalie shoots. Okay. What I want you to understand. Oh no, Rich Reinecker, you're blowing it. Like didn't like the shipping charge. What was the shipping charge? Like $100. So the point is this. So everybody shoots. Now, if you have a lot of kids, like I would say, if you have like, I like to split the lines up into maybe 2 sets, so of 6 kids each at most, maybe 5 would be less would be even better. I just want kids running through this drill, right? So maybe what you do is, like, let's say you're a coach or a couple coaches and you don't have a lot of work. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll run shooting drills from 2 lines just off the crease, and then I'll put the rest of my team in a more situational, realistic passing scenario. So if my team runs a 2-2-2 offense for the boys, I apologize for the girls, but still the girls can do this as well. But if you run a 2-2-2, or let's say I have 1 attacker behind or 2 back attackers behind, you basically you can have passing lines, but have them in like a situational setup like you would, in your offense. So if you run a 1-4-1, you would have like 4 corners. You would have a player at X. And now people always wonder, like, you're going to put people behind the net while you're running shooting drills? Sure. Like, let's get everybody paying attention, because how much do we hate when a kid goes to the end of the line and they think the drill's done, and meanwhile, like, a pass goes over their head and everybody could have been there to block that pass and help us out, but they're picking their nose, they're talking about, or they're watching the other field. Just get everybody involved. So if you put somebody behind at X, it sure keeps the shooters sharp, and it keeps those guys in that line, or those girls in that line, pretty sharp too, so they don't get hit, right? So it's really important. But you can run a setup like that. And so let's say I've got a line coming from the right side and a line coming from the left side. And I'm going to start it off with some sort of dodge, something that would basically, maybe something we would do in our offense, right? Maybe it's a, run down the alley and you're going to inside roll and back you go, or you're going to come, whatever. There's a million ways you can do this. It's only limited by your creativity, but just apply what it is that what your kids would be doing on game day. Because one thing I've realized is that kids need context, right? Kids need context. What's massively important, okay, is that when you run a passing drill or a line drill between, let's say, the boys restraining line and the midfield stripe sideways, that never happens. But what happens more often is a defender who needs to pick up a ground ball and roll out of trouble and make a pass. Well, let's put that defender in a position where he's got to learn how to roll dodge. And now instead of that pass, he's rolling and he's firing it on the cage, right? So it's applicable for everybody. And now your goalies are getting work, right? So this is what's really cool. Okay, so you put your goalies in the cage, you back up the nets, you can pretty much pick any shooting drill and do the following. So one, listen, rank your shooters. Okay. Some people get their back up about this. They don't like, pointing kids out or whatever. Listen, you know who your stud and your studettes are on your team, who your good shooters are. Okay. So let's say we're going to work on a drill. And so, sorry, you've got your studs or your studettes, you got your A team, and then you got your B team, and you got your C team shooters, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark the field either with cones or with, pennies or paint or what have you. And I'm going to mark the field and I'm going to say, all right, listen, my A shooters are shooting from here. And where do I put the lines? Well, it's based on your goalies. All right. So I don't want to pepper my goalies, but what I can do is that I can give them shots from a distance that they feel comfortable with, because I want to keep my goalies out of high beta, right? I want to keep them out of that stressed brainwave where they're no longer working or they're no longer focusing. They're just surviving, right? We don't want that. So I'm going to tell my A guys and my A girls, you're going to shoot from here. I'm going to tell my B girls, my B guys, you're going to shoot from this distance. And then I'm going to show, maybe you got like little guys or, new kids or whatever. Okay, you can shoot from here, right? And your goalies can help with this and say, all right, listen, let's move them in, let's move them out, whatever. Now, I'm starting with time and room shots, but you can also do this, and you should do this with inside, like stuff that's close to the cage, right? Dodging from behind. Coach Berkman has some great shooting drills that are on Championship Productions. I used to run all those drills all the time. And what's crazy is that in the videos that Championship Productions sells, they run these drills naked with no goalie in the cage. And I just think that's a waste, right? Every ball shot on a net in practice is a chance for a goalie to learn, right? So we can be really creative here. So let me get back to that. But the idea here is that we want the goalies to be able to relax and learn. And this is the kicker, guys. This is the trick to this, is you tell the shooters where you want the shots. Okay. So you tell them what they're going to do. You tell that you're going to do an inside roll, and then you're going to fire the ball. And then this is the key. We're going to start this session, and we want all the shots going stick side high. Well, if I have a line going from the right side of the field, they may come end up with a shot in their left hand. But coach, I'm not a lefty. Tough, man. The game doesn't care, right? You may have to make a left-handed pass in the game. Well, let's do it. But coach, I'm going to look like an idiot shooting on the goalie. Yeah, that's what we want, right? You're not going to be successful in the sport of lacrosse by avoiding looking like an idiot. Let's do it. All right, let's do it. And let's laugh about it. And this is way better than any line drill, because why? The entire team knows that every shot is going stick side high on the goalie to start, right? Or maybe it's off stick low. You pick, okay? But I want all the shots there. What does this do? Well, one, it forces your shooters to now have a reason to shoot, and you can make, it's like 5 seconds left to go in the game. This is the play we get. You get the ball. You got to peel off there, shoot off stick low on the goalie. That's the only shot you got. Can you do it? Well, we'll see. Okay. So, and then you can work all the way around in your goalies. So depending on how many kids you have in the lines, it can go, your goalies are going to get worked, right? Your goalies are going to get worked, and it's applicable work. And it's not just coach or some dad shooting on them. It's stuff that's more applicable to them. Okay. And it's going to teach them that language of lacrosse that I'm so emphatic about, right? It's really important to understand that. Okay. So, the thing here that really is the glue is, so you may have heard me tell this story. I wrote about it in my book. But Jack Nicklaus, right, one of the greatest golfers of all time, talks about how he never took a golf shot where he didn't know where he wanted that ball to end up, right? So he would envision the ball like leaving the club face. He'd see it in the air. He would see it landing on the green, sitting nice and pretty, and then he would take the shot. And people think, well, oh, that's a great story, but a lot of times you miss the real point of it. And the reason being is that it would give him feedback. By having that end vision of where he wanted the ball to end up, when it didn't go there, his brain could now give him feedback, right? It's like, oh, I chunked it, or oh, I hit it a little, thin, or my hands didn't release early enough, or whatever. But without that, you're just shooting into the breeze and it doesn't matter, right? So but what do lacrosse kids do every day? What do coaches allow lacrosse kids do in practice? Well, oh, you're going to do this line drill and I'm going to pass it to Jenny and oh, Jenny missed it. Oh, okay, whatever. No, we want feedback. So when you tell your entire team, all right, guys, listen, we're going to do this. We're going to shoot all the balls stick side high. Now, for some teams, they're not accurate enough to go everything stick side high. So you say, I want everything like above the hip, right? Or I want everything high on the goalie in the top third of the net. Again, depending on your team, you can be you can kind of generalize this a little bit if you want, but I'll warn you, the more specific you can be, the better it'll be for everybody. So like if if you tell the entire team like, okay, we want shots stick side low, and 2 out of like 20 hit it, well, that's okay. It doesn't matter. It's not a matter that like 2 out of 20 hit it and 18 didn't. It's just the fact that okay, we're aiming for something, right? We're trying to aim for that. How do we do? Right? And now you can laugh with it and joke with it and do whatever, but your kids are getting feedback and the level of learning accelerates, not just for your shooters, but for your goalies. So that time where your goalies would normally be spent like, whatever, doing long passing for the 80th day. What is long passing but a shot with a different trajectory, right? That's it. So get your goalies in the shooting drills. Put one goalie in the cage for 20 shots or 10 shots, and then get the other goalie in through have them join the shooting drill. Just pop in the back of a line. Oh, good. You got an inside roll, turn, and then fire that with my left hand. My left hand, coach? Yeah, with your left hand. Well, coach, why would I need to do that? Well, let's say you get flushed out of the crease on a clear and you're running up like the left side of the field. The most pathetic thing, I think, is when a goalie can't put the stick in their offhand enough to make a pass downfield, right? So we've all seen it. It's not pretty. If it's your kid, it's even worse, okay? So long poles do this too. You can work on all sorts of dodging. You can work on all sorts of shooting. And then guess what happens? Those kids go out in the rest of the field, and when you start doing 2-on-2 drills or fast break drills or whatever, and guess what? They can pass. Why? Because you've demanded more of them from this shooting drills than you ever did of them in the line drills. Right. So that's really, really important. In a line drill, a kid sails it over a kid's head, and what happens? Everyone's like, Jimmy, focus. Right. But now Jimmy has like a concrete, oh man, I was aiming for off stick hip and I just shot it wide. And now his brain's going, yeah, next time you do that, just cock your hands a little bit more and it'll come right around. Right now, everybody's learning. Okay. So I can't, if that's helpful for everybody. Um, um, good question here. Joel Rose asking, had a goalie dad complain last night because in a 2-on-1 drill, the shots were too close. His son was in high beta. He was literally hiding behind the pipe. Dad said we should be using tennis balls. I took the goalie aside and asked where his goalie pants went. He just hadn't put them on. I stopped the guys and told them peppering the goalie wasn't the idea of the drill. They were supposed to be placing the shots. I use tennis balls off season, but not typically in live drills with defense. Yeah. So Joel brings up a good point there. Joel, I might encourage you to use tennis balls more often, but like making sure the goalie's padded up is also, I would like, I want my goalies to come to practice and I want a rising tide raises all ships. So if that goalie's protected, then everybody else is going to be pretty good too. So, so I'm all for that. It's a balance, but that's a good catch on the equipment issue where he wasn't really padded up. But you can go to tennis balls, and so I appreciate the dad for standing up and asking you, talking to you. That's cool. And so yeah, it's a little bit of it's a bit of a tough thing because at younger ages, also for those of you guys that have younger goalies, they see more in close shots than they do outside shots, right? But those in close shots in practice can be rather abusive, right? And I don't think there's really a better word for that. But this is where, all right, take that 2-on-1 drill and break it down into where are the shots ending up. Okay, where are the shots ending up? So I would rather in practice work on the end point of that shot as opposed to just like working on the 2-on-1, and maybe Jimmy passes the ball over Kevin's head and we don't get a shot on the goalie at all. Right. So by breaking this down and going like, okay, yeah, when we do 2-on-1 drills from the side, we're usually ending up with a shot from here. When we do 2-on-1 drills from back right, we get a guy coming around the crease or a girl coming around the crease, and it's right on top of the goalie. Well, how can we maybe just replicate that part so that goalie gains confidence, not in the 2-on-1, but in the other drill? And then they come back when the 2-on-1 drill actually happens, and they have more confidence, right? So again, all things aside, having the padding, having the equipment, maybe using tennis balls, whatever, but it's a trade-off. Okay, it's a bit of a trade-off. So that's a really good question, Joel. Good point. Okay. All right, good stuff. Any questions, everybody? You can just pop in the comments. If you like that, hit the like button. Would be much appreciated. And if we don't have any questions, I can move to our next question of the day. Okay, and this one isn't really a question as much as I got a really cool story to share. So some of you have heard me talk about. Some of you guys have heard me talk about Mike Moyer, and the first time I ever played goalie was in 5th grade at Derby Academy in Hingham, Massachusetts. And I loved the sport. I loved it all. And I'll never forget the day that Mr. Winslow, who was the coach and he was the shop teacher, came out and said, "All right, guys, who wants to be our goalie?" And I was like, "I'll do it." And Mike Moyer, my buddy, also said, "I'll do it." So the two of us became fast friends and and we were goalies, and we had a blast. And what's crazy is I hadn't heard from Mike in a bazillion years, and then I got an email from a guy and named Mike Moyer, and it was him, and I was so stoked because Mike has this. I love how lacrosse paths do this, but Mike has invented these super fun shot dog lacrosse goal bounce pad targets. It's a hell of a name. But I will try to post the link. If I can post the link, yeah, this should be okay for you guys because it's not. And I'm not. I'm just. I just think this is the coolest thing, and I think this is a really cool product. Um, and no affiliate here at all necessary. Whatever. Oh my god, that's a really long link I'm just posting here. I hope that goes through. But anyway, if you guys search for um, Mosquito Oasis Super Fun Shot Dog Lacrosse Goal and Bounce Pad Targets to improve shooting and passing accuracy. What's really cool about these is that where is that page? Where is it? Is it there? Oh, there we go. Is that what you're seeing? Nope. Oh, I got so many pages up here. Bear with me, guys. Let me see if I can do that. Nope. 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 Well, I can't seem to get that page open. Oh, there we go. Okay. So these are just really cool. And so they hang on the net, they hang on the backstop, and they're cheap. And you can play like horse with them. You can spell out dog. They also have, I can't remember what's on the backside of these, but they're super cool. The targets, I believe. But anyway, I was just a huge fan. Mike Moyer and I were best buddies all through like grade 5 into grade 8, and to hear from him back, we're going on 30 years, right? So that's pretty damn cool. So I just wanted to share that. So I hope you'll check it out. He's also written a book, and as soon as we get that from him, it's a book for youth kids and families on how to play lacrosse. And as soon as that's ready, I told Mike I would share it with the group, and it's something that maybe you guys can buy in bulk for your programs. Super cool. Mike used to draw Boynton cartoons. You guys remember Boynton? During study hall all the time. And so super cool to connect through the lacrosse again. It was really helpful. Really excited about that. So I hope that was pretty cool. So I hope you guys will check it out. All right. So this is a fun one. All right. This is a fun one. So I wrote a article. This is a long time ago. But I wrote this. This is back in this article has changed like 2015, 2018. I should probably redo it again, but that's me, my beautiful face with a little bit of beard. But today in our group, we had this conversation about a goalie coming out to hit people. So we had a couple posts. This is kind of fun. This post was just a little bit earlier today. This is a brand new goalie coming out to just naturally whack somebody. Okay, so I don't care if you've got a collegiate goalie or if your goalie's like 3. This is going to help. This is going to be helpful. Okay, so the concept of when a goalie should come out and hit somebody is a concept that gets a lot of it gets a lot of what's the word, traction, energy, bandwidth. There's a lot of good stuff when it comes to this. So I believe that the lacrosse goalie of the future is another defender without what's the word, without sacrificing their commitment to the cage. Okay, so the lacrosse game as a whole, if you look at the collegiate ranks and you look at like a 10-man ride where basically the other team will pull their goalie out of the cage to defend against an attackman so that they bump everybody down the field, and then the goalie on the other end, on the clearing team, doesn't have the ability to make a play, right? So when you think about that, right? So let's say your kid down the road wants to be a recruitable lacrosse goalie, men or women, and the coach decides that they need to have an athletic goalie who can play well outside of the cage. Is your goalie going to be that player or not? Right? Like, so let's say you got 2 goalies, equal technical ability, equal save percentage, but you got one who's really good out of the cage. Coach is going to go with that kid. So the interesting thing about the sport of field lacrosse that is really, it's almost like youth soccer in a way where, so in soccer, for when kids grow up playing, they have what's called a sweeper keeper. They're not just a dedicated goalie. They're actually like a last defender that, basically comes behind all the other defenders for that final play. But then if they end up in the cage, if the ball's close enough, they can also play goal. So it kind of relates a lot to what field lacrosse goalies do, because at the younger ages, you guys have all seen this, or even at the high school age, if your team is not very good, your goalie may end up with a lot of those 2-on-1s and find that, hey, if I just get out there and schmuck this dude, I'll get the ball back, or I'll pick off the pass, and then we go down and score. And and what's interesting was I just had a phone call today with a goalie and his dad, and we were talking about, like, hey, when you feel like you should leave the cage, are you frustrated because you're down by 6 and your team sucks, or do you feel like it's a legit opportunity? And what was cool is that for this goalie, that he felt like it was a legit opportunity. I remember, I think one of the reasons why I got attention in high school as a goalie was because I knew how to leave the cage, and I knew how to pick off passes, and I knew how to really create offense off of that stuff. And it took a little bit for my team to understand, because sometimes your goalie goes out of the cage, they pick off a pass, and Karen turns around and goes, "Oh my God, she's way over there. I'm not ready for this," right? So every team goes through that. But what happens, a lot of coaches just kibosh the whole thing. Because why? One, for young goalies or even for inexperienced goalies, the concept of like when to leave the cage, how much of athletic ability do I have to cut down the distance between me and that attacker versus the time it's going to take for the ball to get there, all that stuff. It's a lot of processing. So what happens pretty frequently is a goalie will attempt to leave the cage, and then that goalie will maybe play it very badly and get shot around and scored on, or maybe they get a penalty. And that was actually one of the conversations today in the group, right? Like, which was, let me see if I can pull this up here. Let me see if I can pull it up. Korean Lacrosse Goalie Future. This is there's that. Okay. So Christine Snyder, Christine, if you're listening, thank you so much for posting this. This was really cool. So she posted a video, and I've got it queued up in Premiere here in a second. I want to go through it. But we had some really great comments on this, because this goalie ended up getting a penalty out of this play. And so, which was unfortunate. I didn't think it was deserving. So I'll try to do this. All right. We'll just play this through. And I'm going to go pretty deep on this. So if you guys want to be prepared. So goalie comes out, hits the kid, and if you watch the goalie's kind of like, what the hell they do, right? So part of the problem when goalies leave the cage is that their coaches never spend enough time in practice with that goalie out of the cage for the goalie to understand what they can and can't do. And that can dramatically affect a young goalie's development because if they do it once and everybody freaks out that they left the cage, we've now wasted a tremendous opportunity to teach a kid to become a really good goalie. Okay. So for this particular play, let's just talk about the goalie first, and then I'll talk about the defense around him and how this play shouldn't have actually happened to begin with. Okay. So goalie's a pretty big dude. Pass goes from side right. This is kind of like a mini fast break down to a player who's just off the crease and probably about 2 yards above goal line extended. Is this a good place for the goalie to leave the cage? Yes. Okay. What if they're 12? I would still say yes. Okay. The idea here is that there's a timing issue, and some people think like, well, oh, I'd rather take the penalty than not. Well, in most places that I know of, and people might be able to correct me on this, but um, if you don't have a backup goalie on your team, a lot of time a goalie never serves the penalty if they get charged for one. That's just something to consider. All right, now that's not always the case. I get it. It's true in international rules, but the idea here is that your goalie can actually get away with one. They can take that risk, just like in this this other video from Alan Costner. This was kind of cool. Can I blow that up? Oops, where's that going? No, I don't want that. There you go. So what's kind of cool here is like an athlete's natural ability is to come out and get somebody when they can. Like that's really the reality. Um, you guys don't want to watch 10 meter final, 100-meter final. But the idea is that I want to encourage my goalies to be that seventh defender, right? I want them to be that where necessary. So in this case, for this play, the goalie does the right thing by coming out. Just how they go about it is wrong. Now, what was really interesting about the debate on this play was that some of us were very adamant, like this wasn't a penalty. A lot of the refs chimed in our group and said, no, it is. And actually it is. Like I should have prefaced my comments by saying like these rules suck, to be honest. And as someone who's been around the sport for a long time, I remember what used to be allowed. And unfortunately, because of the way lacrosse officiating has gone, and then also now the concussion protocols, lacrosse, when it comes to hitting, has gone the way of the dodo bird. Like it's just weird, and I don't particularly like it. So I think for some of us in New York or New England, this would not be a penalty. But to this ref, not only was it a penalty, it was a threat that this kid should like serve a 1-game suspension. And I'm like, dude, I think if you took any other player on the field and this wasn't a goalie, this would not be a penalty. But a lot of times when a goalie leaves the crease, refs are already thinking about throwing a flag. Okay, so you gotta think about this, and also, so in terms of for all of you guys out there watching this, and you're thinking about like follow through and hand position, I'm just talking like the overall aggression of this play didn't really deserve a penalty in my experience. But for some of you, it's an experience. So what did the goalie do wrong here? First, the goalie, naturally, if a goalie is in their stance, you see how wide their hands are, right? So your hands need to be together when you make contact with a player, right? So when a goalie comes out and their hands stay in that position, it's cross check. Okay. Now, so what do you teach your goalie? Hey, listen, if you're going to come out and hit somebody, you got to slide that top hand down to your bottom hand, right? And because that's another optic thing. If a goalie comes out and they move the bottom hand up and there's a lot of butt end showing and there's stick head showing, that to me like cues a lot of refs like this isn't pretty, even if it's not a cross check. So the technique here is to move the hands down towards the butt end, right? And have them come out and make contact. Now the rules here, which were kind of interesting, and I can't remember. I'm just scrolling here. Who told me what this was? Jordan Levy made some great comments. It was also not Sean O'Brien. Who am I missing here? I want to make sure I give credit where credit's due. Andy, Rob, Adam, Mike, Justin, Rob, Milky. Where'd it go? Where'd the comments go? Oh no. All right. Well, anyway, we had some really good about the comments about the rules in terms of the timing of the hit. So the player, as the player catches and turns, just like in football, hitting like a defenseless receiver, this guy catches the ball and the goalie meets him like right as he turns. Technically, in the NFHS rulebook, that's also illegal, and I think that sucks. But anyway, the other thing here is the size difference, right? So I just think a lot of refs call the high contact pretty poorly, but this goalie needed to be a little bit lower on this player. But it's hard because the player already is low when he catches. So as a big player, you got to go even lower. But just refs are just looking for this stuff left, and that size difference pretty big. The other thing is, and this I have a big problem with this part of the rule, is when after the goalie makes contact and the hands come out. Okay. So one of the things that I don't like about that was this idea that you've just laid out a player when those hands come out. What I don't like about that rule is a lot of times to stop your momentum without falling on this kid, your hands kind of come out as balance, right? It's not malicious, it's balance. And so you've got to teach your goalies, if they're going to come out and they're going to make that contact, we're going to get those hands together, probably a little close to the body, don't fall through, and lead with the shoulder like below their shoulder to be safe, which is weird. Like, you just want people to just get laid out and see it. But the good news here is that this shooter misses the cage. And so one of the things I want to share with you guys is this concept of when your goalie leaves the net. Oh, the other question here was matching the stick. The other question here was matching the stick. And Chuck Fisher wrote that. Sorry, Chuck. But he said, I don't know how a goalie can't cover the stick. It's the best way to stop a one-on-one. Good question, Chuck. But when you're a right-handed goalie and you're coming out side right to cover a right-handed shooter, you basically would have to switch hands. And there's not a lot of kids who even know how to do that on the rest of the field. So having a goalie, so I appreciate it, but having a goalie try to do it is not always great. So the idea here is we do want to have that contact. Chris Larcher, great comment. My answer, there should be an element of surprise for goalie to come out. Yes, that should be allowed. And one of the things I think here is, like I said, if this is any other player, like any other, like a midi or a short stick or a long pole, whatever, I just don't think you're going to get this call like you would with this goalie, this big goalie coming out, wrecking this dude. But the good news is if you watch it, the ball sails high and wide, right? So you see the ball there crossing, right? And then out it goes. But then you can see from the goalie's response, the goalie's pretty laid back dude. He's like, what happened? What'd I do? And that's a goalie that's obviously never been taught how to really hit. And that is a coaching problem. All right. I don't care if this kid's brand new. He doesn't look brand new if he's standing like this, right? Yeah, in the cage. Like, he's got a pretty good stance. He knows what he's doing. He's an athletic kid, right? And now he's waiting, like, I'm totally getting you. And he gets him, right? So that's good. Now, I don't know if this game was like 10-2, but sometimes as a goalie, you just want to go out and whack somebody, and I get it. So I'm all for that, by the way. Okay. The other thing I just wanted to talk about here, Adam Heller writes, if the attack knows the goalie might come out, it will greatly reduce the crease campers. Totally, right? So totally. So this is why I encourage it in practice. I encourage it when you're 12. I encourage it for a college goalie. And I see college teams completely mess this up because their coaches only recruited goalies who can only stop balls. And then when they actually need a goalie to go play defense, they realize they don't have a goalie who can do that. And a lot of times when a defender gets hung up on the top of the crease, like where the goalie stands, for those of you guys that don't know what I'm talking about there, but the idea is that when there's an attackman at X and you've got the chance to send the goalie one way, you send the defender to the other. For our Lacrosse Goalie University members, I've got some videos on this inside the forum of college goalies playing this really well. And what's really interesting is when you see athletic goalies know how to deal with it, they can do it. They can really stifle an offense. Okay. So one thing I did want to talk about here, though, Andy, Holden said, yeah, Holden attack are afraid of him in practice. Love it, love it, love it, love it. And for those of you guys that don't understand, one thing that's going to happen here for your goalie is that when they first try this, right, it's like a bell curve. They're going to do it a little bit, and then they're going to overdo it. Okay, and they're going to get some penalties. And then over time, though, they're going to figure out how to do it with some coaching, and then they're going to be fine, right? And so this is why I encourage your goalies. They should be in the defensive drills. They should be in, they should be out there, out of the crease. Why? Because the lacrosse goalie of the future that totally changes this game and really changes save percentages is the one that's going to be as good outside the cage as they are inside the cage. And so we have some examples of that, right? Which is good. Okay. So, but I want you to just kind of keep that in mind. All right. So the other thing that I just want to talk about on this play is why this shouldn't have happened, right? This entire play really shouldn't have happened. And so what do I mean by that? Well, the thing is, the thing is that a lot of times for a goalie, we focus on the shot. Like everybody, all the parents on the sidelines sitting in their fold out chairs with their cup of coffee that's not really coffee, but it's red wine. They all see the goalie let the ball in, but then everybody forgets what the hell happened that caused that to happen. And this is a great example of some bad defense and some poor coaching, and why this shouldn't have happened to begin with. So this is a this is a fast break. Okay. Pardon the quality here, but I just peeled this off of Facebook. So the pass comes out to number 10, who is at midfield. I think you would all agree with me, and your goalies would all agree with me, that this player right now is not a scoring threat, right? If your goalie says he is a scoring threat, or she says she is a scoring threat, your goalie needs help. Okay. But we'll all agree that number 10 standing in the midfield stripe with the ball right now is not a threat. Okay. So the other thing you got to figure out is like, well, what do we have outside of the screen to the left in terms of D and offense, right? So I'll scroll this forward. Right. So there's one coming down. There's another attackman coming in over here. Okay. So top left. All right. Top left. And then players coming down. So now what do we have for defenders? We have we have 3 defenders. Okay. So this is a fast break, but here's the problem. Here's what screws this up royally is that the point defender here, there's no need for this defender right here, number 9, to come out and cover this ball carrier just yet. Okay. Makes no sense, right? It's not necessary. Right? Why? Well, because it opens up everything behind him, and our defenders are now out of position. So we've got 3 defenders here, and this defender is creeping up. As a goalie, I'm seeing all that. My defense is all ball watching right now. So what I might do here is I'm going to say, all right, number 9. So because I don't know names here, I'll just say this is 9. I'm going to say 9. Hold. I'm going to tell my defender over here, your point. Now that might confuse him for a second, but what it'll do is it'll keep him in the middle of the field, right? Which will gum this up completely. Okay. Now the ball carrier comes down, and instead of passing it at the 40-yard line, to now basically what we've created is we've created a 2-on-1 inside 10 yards, as opposed to 4-on-3 from outside 20. Okay. And it all comes because number 9 here, sorry, number 9, love you, but number 9 slides way too early. We don't need number 9 to slide there. Number 9 could still be right here, right? And this defender can have been able to pay attention to his player coming across, which is the guy that ultimately shoots here, right? And we have no break at all, right? We have no break at all. Why? Because that other attackman way over here, he's kind of ruining the play for them. It's really a 3-on-3, right? It's not really a 4-on-3 because this player is so far out of the play. So as a goalie, I can see that. I've got to tell my defenders, fast break top right, or maybe I say slow break, or maybe I say no break, right? Gets a little complicated. And so, but the point is, I want you to understand that this play didn't have to happen at all. So this penalty was created not by a goalie coming out and giving a cross check to an attackman down low. This penalty, you could say, was caused by number 9 coming out to cover a midfielder who's basically at 35 yards, right? That's completely unnecessary. Okay. That's where this ends up. Um, so I just want you to understand. We joke about this, that hey, if the team was so damn good, they wouldn't need a goalie, right? But the point is that our goalies need to step up as well. So I think if we coach this goalie on how to hit people, this is a great play, and there's no penalty involved. But also, if we teach our defense how the hell to slide and when to slide, this isn't even a conversation, right? So I hope that makes sense. So any questions on that? You guys can go ahead and post them in the comments if you like. Chuck Fisher, I guess we'll have to disagree on matching the stick. This is a one-on-one. How do teach someone stop a one-on-one? The contact and surprise is important, but stopping the shot requires matching the stick in close. Yeah, but Chuck, I appreciate what you're saying, but how many people tell a defender, like a defenseman, to switch hands and to be on that stick, right? You like on a slide, you lead with a poke check. So I'll give you that. Like this goalie could have led with a poke check, but you're just asking a goalie to do something that's very, even if this goalie came out, like as you're saying, and he matched sticks with the same grip on his stick, right? Now he's in a very weak position, right? He's also getting to the shooter too early to match sticks. He's getting there to hit him, right? That's the play here. The play here is not to come out and then stop and put your stick on. No goalie's going to do that. A goalie who's aggressive and comes out, I would not, let's put it this way, Chuck. I wouldn't teach a goalie to come out and match sticks with this kid and somehow stop him. No, the play here is to basically run him over, right? And to basically stop him enough so that, let's say the player managed to bounce off the hit and recover. Well, I'm going to teach that goalie to keep going and get him behind. That's okay. That's defense. But the primary play here is not to match sticks. Okay. The primary play in this instant, in this example, all right, is to come out and rock that guy. Any other player on the field would do the same thing. Like if I have a defender and he slides over there, I'm telling him lead with the poke check, fall through the body, right? All the goalie did here was not have the best probably defensive coaching that he probably hasn't had any, right? Unless he was a long pole, poorly taught long poles in the cage. But the play here is not to match sticks, okay? Because it's unnatural for a right-handed goalie in this play, and the idea is that the goalie, whether it's a goalie or not, in this particular play, you're making contact with that player. All right. We just need to teach him how to do it correctly. But I would still argue that if you're in Long Island, this isn't getting called. Right. And also what I can tell here is like this ref. Now listen, I get it. Reffing is insanely hard. I believe that every parent on a sideline should have to go through a referee course, not a don't touch him in the soft bits course, right? Like we need more understanding of the game as a whole. But I'll tell you that when I watch this ref walk off and he's like, he's looking at the goalie and then he does this, like, I know I'm playing it slow here, but it just, I can just tell from the ref and what was told from the ref to this player that this ref has his backup. And as players, as coaches, as parents, we don't want refs to be like that. But I will be the first one to say that ref could be on the field. He could be going through a divorce. He could have lost his job. His mother might have just died of COVID. I don't know. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt there. But what we need is I believe that these rules, especially these hitting rules, have made it too complicated for most referees. Not that they can't figure it out. There's refs that can, but the problem is that, and you agreed to this before. The idea is that refs, these things get just called so differently in different areas of the country, and part of that is because of the complexity given by the rules. Like the list of rules that you left for me, which I totally appreciate, was I'm like, really? Like, there's no play there then, for all those rules that need to happen. So the idea is that I'm not teaching a goalie to come out and cover stick. I'm teaching a goalie to come out and just like make a statement. Okay. And if I don't have a goalie on the bench, I'll take that statement and I'll take the penalty because I want to encourage my goalie to be aggressive and I don't want that attackman camping out in the crease like Adam Heller said a second ago. Right. So it's not the play. So I appreciate the comment, but I'm not. I want my goalie to come out and in this distance to come out and make contact with a shoulder, knock that kid, and we'll call it another day. So and I think that's an important thing to maybe just kind of to talk about here. Um, um, the idea penalties are not bad things. Okay, I want to. I think this is a really important concept. Years ago, like I'm coaching my son's soccer team, right? And we had like the nicest bunch of kids, like the nicest bunch of boys you could imagine. I've always, as a coach, I've always been really lucky. I get a lot of nice kids. But a problem with that is that sometimes agreeable, conscientious kids, they don't like being disagreeable. They don't like pushing the envelope. And I had to tell these kids, like, guys, we're 6 games into the season. None of you guys have gotten a card yet, right? And I was telling the parents, like, none of our kids have got a. I was like, guys, we need to get a card. And not because we're trying to do something untoward. It's just showing that we are playing a level of aggression that is appropriate. Okay. We want referees to have to be put in interesting decisions, right? I want to be pushing that boundary. I want my athletes to push that boundary. Why? Because they're going to learn that in this particular game, this goalie came out, hits the kid, gets a cross check. I'm going to tell that goalie, and you're not going to like this, but I'm going to tell that goalie, forget it. If that play ever happens again, you do the same thing, right? Now, if you get the same ref, you might not get the same call, right? But the idea is that refs don't call games evenly, but most importantly, for your athlete to be successful at the highest levels of the sport, they have to be pushing those boundaries. So getting a penalty is not the end of the world, although some parents on the sideline treat it like it is. Some coaches treat it like it is. No, we have man down defenses for a reason, right? Now you may have a team where you're like, oh my god, nobody can get a penalty today. Like we're short. We got one sub. Like no penalties today. That's a different story. But the story that I want to encourage my athletes is like you push the envelope. All right, you encourage the ref to make a call, because if you're not pushing it, you're not going to be a really good athlete. Like you just won't. I think it's getting called 100% in New England Club and Town League in the year 2021. The rules stink. If the stick is there and the timing is off, either the play is disrupted or a save is made. Chuck, dude, whatever. I can just tell you, like, I see videos like all day, all week, and I've seen plays. It's unfortunate. All right, it's unfortunate. So whatever, you do your thing. It's all good. But I'm gonna teach my goalie to push the envelope, because when this goalie gets to college, right? I don't care if he's 8th grade. I don't care if he's 6th grade, right? It is what it is, right? So that's a good. So I appreciate the comments, Chuck, but we'll agree to disagree. That's fine. But I'm not teaching this kid to hit again. No, I want him to go. I'm going to take him to practice and we're like, all right, listen, remember that penalty you got in that last game against that team with the black with the gold numbers? All right, we're going to teach you how you should have laid that kid out. You come a little lower with a shoulder. You come with those hands in the middle of the stick, and you run over him. It's crazy because this goalie could literally run over that player and not fall through the hands and maybe not get the call. But you put if that's a long pole, if that's a long pole or a short stick making that same play, it's not called. It's not called, or it's not called like 50% of the time. Whatever, Chuck. It's all good. It's all good. Chuck, I totally appreciate the comments. I don't want you to think I'm like upset, but I'll just tell you, it's hard to teach the stick on stick thing here because the goalie's right-handed, the shooter's right-handed, right? It's going to be really awkward. Also, it's just not ideal. Okay. All right. So listen, everybody, Joel Rose, that's a good comment too. The attackman's a little too far off the crease to match sticks. Yeah, it's a weird one, right? but Chuck will tell, like, I'm Chuck, not to speak for you, but I'm sure you would say, like, the goalies, if he's close enough to hit him, he's close enough to get a stick on him. Whatever. But I'll go back to my other point that this play shouldn't even happen if number 9 had played better defense. Okay, that's true. And defensively, communication wise, a lot of the work that I do with my Lacrosse Goalie University members, we work on goalie communication, right? So that this doesn't happen, because this play really shouldn't have happened, right? So that's all good. So listen, everybody, happy Wednesday. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this is helpful. Listen, if it was helpful to you, leave me a comment. Okay, leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought. Let me know what you disagree with, what you like, what you don't like. All right. I like it all. And just don't be a lurker. Okay. Just back to Adam Haller's comment there. If the attack knows the goalie might come out, it will greatly reduce the crease campers. True. Very true. All right. All right, guys. Have a great week. I'll see you in the group. Good luck to your goalie. And when you're ready, I want to coach your goalie. CrossGoalieUniversity.com. Get your 4 free videos. And when you're ready, book a breakthrough call. Let's get you working. I want to help your goalie. All right, guys, take care. Cheers. Andy, thanks for that. Yeah, great stuff on how the D broke down. It's a big deal, man. When I see Holden's tape, I'm sure I'll be able to pick out a lot of that, but we'll be able to communicate with Holden to fix that too. So, all right, everybody, take care. Have a great night. Cheers.